线上的大家
Ladies and gentlemen online, thank you for being patient. We're now at the second session of today's meeting, themed Urban Innovation in Adaptation and Disaster Response. It is our honor and privilege to have Professor Daiji Xiao from Institute of Economics of Academia Sinica to be our moderator. Online, we have Alice friends as well as Lars and Mona with us, and we would like to first have a group photo, so please kindly turn on your cameras.
镜头在我们好 The first photo, everybody thumbs up, please. Cheers. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The floor is yours, 肖老师，现在时间就交给您了，麻烦。
Over to Professor Xiao.
From the Institute of Economics at Academia Sinica in Taiwan. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to host this forum organized by Taiwan Climate Partnership. This is part of a series of forums organized in Taiwan as a response to the COP29 conference. Today's forum is about urban innovation in adaptation and disaster response. And the organizer like to focus this event on using data, artificial intelligence, and other digital technologies to tackle climate change, especially tackle the to tackle the problem of climate change adaptation, and disaster responses. Because this is very important to solve the very ever more and more important and more serious environmental disaster because of climate change and global warming. Digital technologies may well play a very important role to solve this problem. So we are happy to have invited 4 experts, three from Europe and 1 in Taiwan, to share your experience and expertise on this topic. And we'd like to know not only the help we can get from those new technology, but also would like to know the costs of those technology too. Yeah. So let's start our panel presentation, starting from Alice. Alice is a head of Green Digital Transformation of ICLEI Europe. And yeah, Alice, please.
Everybody, thank you for this kind invitation. I will try today to cover a little part of the work that ICLEI Europe is doing on this amazing environment of green and digital technologies, and especially with the new tendency of using AI technology also for climate adaptation and also mitigation. So just to give you an overview, first of all, who we are. So I work at ICLEI, which is global network of cities. We have around 2,500 members across the world. We are present in 100 countries worldwide, and here in Europe we cover most of the European territory. We work in different topics like low emissions, nature-based development, resiliency, circular development. And during the last years, we have seen that green technologies and ICT technologies are now taking more space in the response of cities for enhanced climate action. So also just to let you know that, as I said, we are a global organization. I am based in Germany. But we also have an office in Taiwan. We have our Iklay Kaohsiung Capacity Center for the ones that are not familiar. So we provide across the world technical assistance, and we help cities advancing in their climate and environmental sustainability journey. So talking about the topic itself, about green and digital transformation and how technologies can help. So in Europe, we have a particular policy framework that I would like to share with you. First of all, on the one hand, we have the European Green Deal, which is the biggest or the guiding a policy framework that aims to bring Europe to carbon neutrality by 2030, covering most of the different environmental matters that can impact not only on Europe but also outside Europe, covering climate, covering energy aspects, buildings, mobility, preservation of ecosystems, smart mobility, and others, as you can see here. On the other hand, we have a whole Digital Europe program that fosters the development of data spaces, digital twins, and the adoption of data to develop a more competitive, efficient Europe. Finally, we have a very recent policy framework, which is the Artificial Intelligence Act that was issued in August of this year, that sets the rules for using AI in Europe. This is a very important milestone for all the organizations and governments and public bodies working on AI, and also the private sector, because it sets the rules to responsible use of AI, always protecting citizens in Europe. So there's the AI Act covers risk-based approach. So those technologies that generate risk for public for the public are not allowed to be used in Europe. So here you can see the framework, and then going to the action. Also in Iklay Europe, we have different type of projects and initiatives. We've been working on smart city projects and digital transformation projects for many years. We are part of the community of Smart Cities EU Research and Innovation projects. We also are working with different actors in the public and private sector to bring cities tools and data for decision making on environmental sustainability and climate action. And we have a new set of projects specifically on data-driven and AI impact projects, because the AI projects are new also for us in Iklay, and we are trying to get experience with more cities to bring this technology forward. So just to situate us, there's an interesting report published this year by the Boston Consulting Group, which says that what is the role of AI that can play in climate action. And we can see here that mainly we are talking about the mitigation side, reducing emissions, measuring emissions. But when we talk of adaptation, this is not perceived so much, and also there's no much applications as we have for climate mitigation. We also have, on the other hand, some numbers that says the possibilities of AI to mitigate climate change. There's a number here from 5 to 10% of greenhouse gas emissions can be reduced by 2030 using AI. This is the same as all the emissions that the European Union generate in 1 year. So we have a framework here, and then the reality is how are we taking this into reality. So we also have to take into consideration the environmental environmental impacts that AI is generating, mainly for the data centers and running the models of AI and other type of technologies, the energy and water consumption. We have to be aware of that. And of course, we have to be conscious that when we talk about technologies, we also have to assess the environmental impact of the use. So specifically for adaptation, there are several also reports that mention that AI and clean technologies and ICT-driven technologies can help adaptation and resilience in two lines of work. One is everything that has to do hazard prediction, to build any warning systems, for example, or projecting long-term trends. And on the other hand, the vulnerability management, to responding to crisis once the hazard has been presented, and also to help to build resilient infrastructure. So on the ICLEI side, we have seen several type of projects on the cities that we work here in Europe. On the one side, we have found, and we are working with cities a lot in technologies on climate change mitigation, especially everything that has to do with the smart energy systems, especially in the electricity sector and also the heating sector. We have seen also very advanced technologies on to manage mobility, to increase sustainable mobility, and also on the building sector. On the other hand, when we talk about climate adaptation, we have seen specific cases and specific projects and initiatives, especially for flood management and forecasting. Another issue here in Europe is heat waves and heat stress monitoring. That is another thing that is in the agenda of several cities. And another application that we have seen in the adaptation sphere is fire detection and monitoring and managing of fires on a local level. But one thing that we have also identified when we are talking with our cities and working with them is that sometimes there's not a need for AI for all these things. You need advanced technologies and different technologies, but AI is not only the magic wand, and this is very important to acknowledge, because now with all this trend on AI, some things might get too complicated for cities to implement. So in that sense, there's an opportunity for technologies, and we have seen that cities are really starting to adopt these technologies in their territory. So going to the examples, just to be more practical, we are working for almost 3 years already in a project which is called the ICLEI Action Fund, which is, we have the support of Google.org, the philanthropic brand of Google, to develop data-driven and AI projects, specifically for environmental and climate action in cities. These projects are being executed by non-for-profit organizations. We have now a battery of 16 projects of about 11 million euros. And we are in these projects, the fundamental is that projects are encouraged to use public and private data sources that are already there, so they can use to build the solutions. And this is all the projects of the second phase of the projects. We work with different organizations, and from these projects, some of them are using AI, others not, because there's no need to use AI. But regarding the topics of climate adaptation, we have 2 projects, one that covers heat island effect, and also another one working on wildfire management. So I am putting here 2 examples of these projects. One is in Barcelona. It's called the Climate Ready Barcelona project, and it's an AI-based vulnerability map assessing all the energy-related climate vulnerability on all the districts of Barcelona. So with this AI model, it is possible to characterize each housing on a building level of the city based on existing data on energy, weather, and social data. So with this map will identify those vulnerable citizens that are facing energy poverty issues, but also have problems on heat waves. Then the second project, that this is a new project that we are working now in the city of Athens. It's a fire detection and propagation AI model. So it's to support an early warning system for local government and citizens to plan safety measures such as evacuation in advance. So we are working here with the National Cappadocian University of Athens and the city of Athens to develop this model, which is very, very interesting. Then we have another research and innovation project that also I would like to share with you, which is the Urban Relief Project, which has to do with citizens' power data for just and green urban transition. So some cities in Europe are working on improving their urban green spaces, reducing heat stress, and managing their air pollution. And we are working with 6 cities in Europe to foster data collection campaigns on heat stress, humidity, and air quality via the citizens. So we are working with citizen organizations in order to provide them different type of sensors and technologies so they can also input the data where the cities will use to make better decision-making projects. So these are the 3 examples that I wanted to bring here, and just my final remarks on all this journey of how AI and digital technologies can help cities in climate action. First of all, I think that, and that is something that a responsibility of ICLEI, we also, we might acknowledge the environmental impacts of technology, of AI, but also the different data-driven and ICT technologies impact in the cities. We need to continue work on that. We also have seen that there's a need to build the skills on the adoption of AI technologies and different type of technologies on the city level. Sometimes these projects are managed by the environmental department, sometimes by the smart city department. So we really need to build these skills to have an integrated approach to these type of projects. We also have seen that most of the AI models and technologies for adaptation can help for mitigation, can also help adaptation efforts, but other sustainability challenges that cities are facing, like biodiversity problems and also pollution management. That is something that we have seen. We also know that there's a need to exploit existing data sets. There's a lot of data worldwide. We have in Europe here meteorological data, we have the Copernicus data, we have a lot of socioeconomical data that cities are generating. So we encourage our cities to use what it is there already. Sometimes it's not an issue of lack of data, but it's more an issue of how to handle that data, these big amounts of data. We also seen that in all these projects, we need an engagement of the private sector and technology companies. This is crucial to advance on it. They are the ones that know the technologies and can help the cities identify how to adopt them sustainably. And finally, my last reflection is that we need to share this experience not only within Europe, but also outside Europe. And we are happy also to be here. So thank you very much for your time. Here you can have our contacts on ICLEI Europe, but also our ICLEI Coaching Capacity Center in Korea. Please contact them. We do several activities on outreach and climate action, sustainability. So count on us for any support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you for your sharing your work in the application of AI and other digital technologies for climate actions in cities. And you have done a lot of jobs and have many technology developed and many applications in different cities. This experience should be very important for all of them. We will discuss later after all of the presentations. Our next speaker is Lars. Okay. The second speaker is yeah, you're on the screen. There's Lars Nagel from he is CEO of International Data Space Association. Please, yeah.
Thank you for welcoming me and for having me. It is great to be here. Thank you for that invitation and for the opportunity to talk about that very important issue of how to cope with climate change and how to fight climate change. I could not be happier than following up that great first presentation because it's so to say a perfect fit to what I want to present. It has all been said. What needs to be done? So we need to mitigate climate change, and we also need to prepare society, urban systems, us, and value chains for the climate change. So what I will share with you is the idea of data spaces. Data spaces is the idea to make much more data available because we come up with a trustworthy and trustworthy framework so that you can share data self-determined. So that holds true for companies, for organizations, for municipalities, for governments, and also for individuals. What I will show you is like, so to say, a new a protocol on the internet so that much more data can be shared. And with that, we can do great things. And that is what I would like to start with. What I will tell you will probably help us to address all of the sustainable development goals that we have, because everything will be better if we were able to share much more data. And the problem currently is that most of the data is not shared because it's not available. So it is not only about data for this. My presentation is being recorded. Okay, I see it again. So therefore, let me share with you 3 examples of what can be done with data spaces and what I want to say with my initial statement. So what climate change, with all its challenges, requires is to set up a resilient ecosystem, a resilient society, resilient value chains. So that includes economic stakeholders as well as political and societal stakeholders. In order to produce the best effect and the best result possible, so for example, all the AI features and capabilities that have been shown before, we need access to many different data sources. And these data sources are from different domains, and they are governed by different organizations, municipalities, governments, companies, organizations, whatever. So, and if we were able to combine all of these data sources, we could do a risk assessment, maybe even in real time, and then create crisis scenarios, and then also make recommendations for actions. And that is exactly what is happening in the project PAIRS that I would like to present to you, which is part of a bigger Green Deal data space that I will show you. And also referring to the previous presentation. So what do we need to do in order to mitigate climate change? Well, we need to definitely talk about the energy supply. We also need to talk about making our supply chains more carbon neutral, or make them carbon neutral. So therefore, we also have the fields for more data sharing and for data spaces that we need to address. Furthermore, we as society can also benefit from the same data being shared, for example, for healthcare issues, so that we can, for example, fight a spatial epidemic or come up with new medication. And even we can do like disaster relief. And that is part of the project you see at the bottom right part, where we are working, for example, with the Federal Agency for Technical Relief. So we have companies, we have something like governmental organizations, we have the health system, and we have companies involved. So that is like the scene that we have. And the idea is to bring all of these data together so that we can understand crisis triggers. And therefore, if we are just relying on open data, so from a smart city, for example, or from research, well, this is fine and this is super important. But if we could include the data from value chains, company data, so from their supply chains, and they are like tracking everything, like traffic, temperature, risks in their supply chain. So if we were able to combine that data, we would be much more much better, much faster in identifying crises and also fighting them, and coming up with recommendations what to do. That is exactly what has happened in the PAIRS project, this is the supply chain radar, so that you can manage crisis effectively and proactively with an AI-supported strategy. So therefore, it's like a combination of what has been said before, with underpinning data spaces that provide much, much more data than we have today. And well, this is a tool. It has been produced in a project, in a research project in Germany. It has also now become a European activity that is organized by a very innovative company, Advaneo, but also in a bigger network of insurances, banks, governmental organizations like firefighters and technical relief, for example, municipalities, so that we can bring all of this data together. And that is what we are currently building to a Green Deal data space, so making use of more data sharing via data spaces for resilience and sustainability. And everyone can benefit, society can benefit, and when it comes to climate change, the most pressing thing currently is to reduce the carbon footprint, to give visibility first, but then also to see that Scope 3 is addressed properly, and therefore we need to share much more data along the whole value chain, including many companies. So suppliers, first tier, second tier, third tier, like hundreds of organizations per supply chain. And therefore, what I present to you is data spaces that can immediately help on many ends. So they can help in reducing the carbon emission, but they can also help in disaster relief and everything that I've shown before. The idea behind is that you create a trustworthy space where you bring in a bit of technology and mainly global standards for data sharing, so that it is much easier for companies and organizations of any kind to share data, but mostly to reassure them, to give the trust that they can share data in a very trustworthy environment. So what I'm presenting here is not a platform. What I'm presenting here is a multi-platform, multi-cloud approach that is based on global standards, and that is exactly what we are building. I will go a little bit deeper in technology shortly, in a minute. I would like to show you two other projects. So Flexi Robots, this is something where we can immediately work on mitigating climate change in much better conducting our agricultural activities. So this is a European funded program, a project where we use flexible robots for intelligent automation of precision agriculture operations. And here you see all the different elements that we need to bring together so that we really can have a severe impact on our climate and do effects already today and especially for the future. So we need to secure data exchange. We need these AI-driven robotics, services, analytics, and then we can benefit from it. This is all based on the idea of data spaces. And data spaces, as mentioned, are a very decentralized, federated data architecture. So it's no physical data integration. Data can stay where it is. The main thing is to enable data sovereignty and to bring in trust in data sharing ecosystems. This will impact at the end all domains. And so I'm talking here about the issue of like climate change and discover and disaster relief. But you can also, and we have 150 data spaces already on the data spaces radar in all different domains. So not only in industry, also in media, cultural heritage, energy, and so on. The most important thing is like we want to reassure organizations what happens with their data. The better you know what happens to your data, and the better you can attach clear usage policies to your data, the better you can decide what happens to the data. And that is the magic key. We need to make sure that everyone in the ecosystem understands where the data comes from and what it can be used for and what not. This can also have implications, for example, in the health domain, where we are dealing with very, very sensitive data. We need a fine granular system to decide what happens to data. And that is what we are working on and providing with data spaces. And that is what I want to call in that conference here today. So we need to make sure that we bring in some software components and services so that in the future, data sharing is much, much easier. Data spaces are core of the European data policy, but also of the Japanese, of the Brazilian, of the Chinese, of the US American. So data spaces are already accepted. We see technologies like data space connectors. So imagine like a browser for really valuable data sets. We see them in place. We need to make sure that they are interoperable. And that is what we are currently doing. So we have created the data space protocol, IDSA, as a non-profit organization with more than 180 companies and organizations from all over the world, from all continents. A new protocol, so to say, a new layer on the internet so that we can much better share data that is not shared today. And I'm talking about the whole spectrum from open data to closed data, and currently more than 80% of the data is not shared. And for disaster relief and recovery, for climate change, we need all data that we can have. We are organizing this global standard and the open source software production in International Data Space Association. We have already a lot of proof points in place. I've shown some examples. And we think that data spaces are an enabler for our future wealth, and in this context, especially mitigating and fighting climate change. So if you would like to know more, get in contact with us and set up your data space or become part of the data space. We have more like 180 endeavors already all over the world with thousands of organizations being part of it. Thank you very much, and looking forward to the discussion later on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lars.
What you have done in International Data Space Association, you have done a lot of job to use the data, to collect data, to use the data and safely, and for the security of our human civilization. That's a very important one. But also we know there are many risks associated with the data storage and use. So we need also to control the security to make it secure. Okay, thank you. So next speaker will be, we'd like to invite Mr. Frans Anton Vermust, who is the Smart City Ambassador of Amsterdam. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me on this conference, and I would like to share some of the points of view from Amsterdam Smart City, and I'll be focusing especially on the things we do from a citizen perspective. Just to set the scene, Amsterdam Smart City is a not-for-profit open innovation platform, and we stimulate the cooperation for the smart, green and healthy metropolis of tomorrow. We accelerate innovation that contributes to solutions for the major social issues of today and tomorrow. We work together with organizations that are decisive on the road to a new economy, including companies, knowledge institutions, municipalities, provinces, and civil society organizations. Our overall goal is to improve the quality of life of the citizens. The characteristics of Amsterdam is we are a progressive and innovative city. We were awarded the European Capital of Innovation in 2016, and we are the ones that we're not afraid to share our lessons learned, because we made a lot of mistakes in the past going on this road since 2008. Our net zero goals are Amsterdam aims to be carbon neutral by 2050, and something on the shorter term is that we in 2030 we have a ban on fossil fuel cars in the city center to reduce carbon emissions. The key challenges we have is the balancing technology advancement with inclusivity, and especially doing things on a non-discriminatory base and make sure that all the 180 different nationalities that are living in the Amsterdam region are included. We would like to upgrade our existing urban infrastructure, and we would like to ensure public trust in the use of AI and digital technologies. So from our point of view in Amsterdam, every Amsterdammer, which is a citizen of Amsterdam, has the right to know what personal data is being used by whom and for what. So we started off with a register of smart appliances. Then we have agreements with companies and organizations, and if necessary, adjustment to regulations and permits. And I think this is an important issue, that with introducing new technologies and doing pilots, you sometimes have to ask the regulator for a so-called regulatory holiday. Purchasing and procurement conditions are adjusted, if possible, also to have the pilot phase status in place. We use the values of TADA, which I'll come back to later, and we treat digital rights as human rights. The Amsterdam AI agenda is AI for the people, make the technology work for the people and not the other way around. Stimulate AI in Amsterdam, stimulate and develop the Amsterdam ecosystem, develop and recruit talent. And from our perspective, it's more important to attract talent before you attract financial funds, because if you attract a lot of financial funds and you do not have the talent present, then it's a waste of money. As I mentioned, digital rights, protect the digital rights and create equally opportunities in algorithms used in Amsterdam, and make data available. So data about the city is available to the city, and it's by default that our data are open. Another important issue for us is the digital trust. So the ethical use of AI and protecting of digital rights, and open and transparent governance of algorithms, the Amsterdam algorithm register. I'll go to that, come to that now. Is an overview of artificial intelligence systems and algorithms used by the City of Amsterdam is public. It gives the possibility to give feedback and participate in building ethical, human-centered AI. It's still under development, and it does not yet contain all the algorithms that the City of Amsterdam uses, but we are progressing with that, and it's just learning by doing. And luckily, the example is now followed by the national government. So Amsterdam uses, for example, algorithms to improve the accessibility and experience of city service. If there's a risk of a major traffic jam, if there's an excessive dangerous situation, so we can take appropriate measures. It can also help to speed up the process, like handling reports and requests by sending them straight to the right department and automatically finding relevant documentations in the archive. An algorithm, according to our approach, is almost like a recipe. It's a predetermined set of rules, of steps, which are followed by a computer. Data and ingredients are the ingredients of the algorithms. So since September 2020, the city of Helsinki and Amsterdam started to open up their algorithms and the AI register. The ethical principles that are followed when using algorithms in Amsterdam, it has to be on a non-discriminatory base, treat people equally, not limit their freedom, be transparent and open to a democratic control, and be at the service of the Amsterdam people and not the other way around. In addition, algorithms should never have the final say and should not work solely on the basis of correlations. Amsterdam Smart City believes that all people of Amsterdam should have access to understandable and current information about how algorithms affect their lives. That's why we've developed this algorithm, this Amsterdam algorithm register. And lastly, everyone has to have access to data sets and the source code. One of the things that we also implemented was an ethical audit on algorithms. So basically, to test, is the algorithm actually doing what we think it is done? And 9 out of 10, there's still a lot of discriminatory facts and outcomes within the algorithms. So that's why we asked one of the big 5 companies to review all the algorithms periodically to see if they're still doing what they need to do. When it comes to climate change and mobility, we have a project that uses artificial intelligence and algorithms, as we would call it, mobility as a service at the Zuidas. So people were given €1,000 and were asked not to use their lease car for a whole month, and to stimulate them to use other forms of mobility within the mobility chain. And it seemed after a while that a lot of people were not using their car anymore, but were quite happy by using all their different kind of modes of transport, which included, of course, public transport, but also leasing cars, renting rental bikes, etc. To stimulate this, we made a deal with the tax office that all the money that's left of that €1,000 at the end of the month can be kept by the individual tax-free. From that, we had to build a platform, and we also built a platform how to forecast what was the best mode of transportation that people could use. And from that point, we started to learn that different people, also from different backgrounds, different religious background, but also different cultural backgrounds, have different needs when it comes to use the whole mobility chain and different forms of mobility. We try to focus on reducing car dependency with this algorithm and improving accessibility, but we also figured out that due to the use of algorithms, decisions are made to cut costs and to cut budgets, and that mobility poverty actually occurs within the city of Amsterdam. So people are not able to use public transportation in a sufficient mode, and they become isolated. As I mentioned, in 2030, the goal is fossil fuel free cars in the city center. So we invest a lot in EV infrastructure and build in a lot of incentives for people to use different ways of different ways of mobility instead of the fossil fuel cars. And in Amsterdam, we believe that the encouragement is much better than to use the stick when it comes to engage people in this transformation. And we collaborate a lot with the private sector to come up with greener solutions. Another thing that we look into is citizen-centric innovation. So we try to humanize apps. So it's our main goal. How can we shift from the system is central and people must become digitally skilled to the other perspective that we use is people are central and our system needs to become more human. I'm glad that Alice set the European framework of how we can collaborate in this kind of way, and that Lars also spoke a little bit of digital sovereignty, and this is one of the things we need to look into without any personal verdict, but a personal opinion, but especially what's happening after the elections in the US. So the best thing of having digital sovereignty is to own the hardware as well. But you need business models to be able to finance this type of hardware. And that's why we need companies in the process. And that's why non-EU big tech earns so much money on our activities. Europe needs alternatives to American big tech platforms and clouds. We need to build our own infrastructure and we need to do it sustainably. Amsterdam can become a front runner when it comes to that. To finish off, we put a lot of effort in AI, artificial intelligence for public values. So develop solutions that prioritize citizens' welfare. Projects focus on inclusivity, control, and transparency. The long-term vision is, again, the holistic approach to improve the quality of life of the citizens and a stronger focus on participatory governance and inclusivity, and hope that's all within 12 minutes. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Franz, Anton, for sharing with us what you have done in Amsterdam for making the city be a smart city. You have done a lot of job and a lot of achievements has been made. Let's move to our last panelist. She is Mona Yang. She is manager of Corporate Sustainability Development Department at Delta Electronics Company. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Xiao. I'm Mona Yang from Delta Electronics. I'm happy to be here, and it's our honor to be invited by the Ministry of Environment. Today, our topic is related to climate risk and also adaptation. And most of our audience are from Taiwan, so I think I'm going to switch to Mandarin and to give my presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, online and on site. I'll give the presentation in Mandarin Chinese. Before I start, I would like to say a few words about Delta Electronics. We were established in 1971. Our mission of environmental protection, fits very well with the theme today, because today we are here talking about our will and commitment to fight against climate change. It is very related to what we work at Delta Electronics, because our mission and commitment is to protect the environment of the globe. And I will share with you the works of this area of Delta, and what are the discoveries that we have made regarding how to cope with climate change. Since 1988, IPCC has come up with a lot of research about climate change, and there has been a lot of reports being published. Along the way, the importance and impact of climate change have been going up. So at UNEF CCC, there's a lot of international conferences focusing on the initiatives of each and every country, and even the initiatives of enterprises regarding climate change. This covers mitigation as well as adaptation. So along the journey, through the participation of the foundation, we took part in a COP to observe the international situation. And regarding the management of enterprise, we have been doing a lot. In the past, we were focused on power or energy saving, because that's highly related to what we do. And in 2015, because of COP29, one of the most important milestones is to convert Kyoto Protocol to Paris Agreement. So back then, we made 3 commitments, and they are included in winning businesses, one of which is highly related to what we do. That is how to disclose the risks and opportunities of climate change. This is under the TCDD framework. And in 2017, we disclosed the TCFD report. And in 2018, we became the supporter of TCFD. And in 2021, we then went to TNFD, and refers to nature, which is highly related to climate. Along the journey, in order to reduce carbon emission, we set a scientific goal of a target of carbon emission reduction from 2 Celsius degree to 1.5 Celsius degree. We talked about the application of EV and renewable energy. So altogether, we would like to come up with the strategies that contributes to the adaptation of climate change. Along the way, we have discovered that climate change is not a issue for us to disclose for the sake of a disclosure. It has to be incorporated into our day-to-day life, as well as our short, mid, and long-term business strategies, as well as market development. So I will touch upon transformation and disclosure. And in terms of transformation, one of the cores is the target of scientific carbon reduction. There has to be rigorous verification and rigorous calculation. What you see on the screen is at the end of 2022, again, we passed the STBI net zero review. Our goal is by 2050, we're able to achieve net zero. That is our long-term goal. Along the process, in 2030, through RE100, we need to achieve 90% of a reduction of Scope 1 and Scope 2, and 25% of a reduction of Scope 3, comparing with 2022. And this one is NEPID net zero, which is Scope 1, 2, and 3 of 90% of a reduction. Along the way, there's a lot of management mechanisms being involved, as well as the idea of a green architecture and low carbon innovations, all of which will be applied along the journey. We will also incorporate the transformation plan in the process. For Scope 1 and 2, especially for Scope 2, we will use renewable energy RE100 to achieve. For Scope 3, which requires the joint efforts of the entire value chain. So we very much look forward to the transformation to be something that's not just for the company, but also addresses the entire value chain, which is a big challenge, but also a very big opportunity. Under the management structure, besides governance and disclosure, there's also the risk and opportunity related to climate change. Many speakers mentioned similar ideas, but we rarely touched upon adaptation. In fact, in terms of climate change, we need to pay attention to legal change as well as adaptation projects and how to mitigate in order to actually implement. And we need to use TCFD or carbon pricing management tools like as such. We're also hoping that these tools can lead to more innovations and a better decision-making process. I'd like to share with you a case study. Climate change impacts the operation of the company. TCFD scenario analysis is a key. And we have done a lot of analyses. And one of the recent ones is about heat wave and flood as well as drought. Globally, in our 190 offices or bases of Delta, we perform the scenarios or scenario simulations. So here, I'd like to use the heat wave as an example, which generates the biggest impact and the percentage increase in the future, which echoes what Alice mentioned. The heat wave in Europe is a very important issue which affects fire, disaster, or some other disasters. So besides the heat wave, flood and drought are also very impactful, especially when we look at those in different scenarios with time and for the future in the next 10, 20, 30, or even 100 years, the impact of drought is also very significant, especially the impact on Southeast Asia and mainland China along the coastal area. These are the places that we have operations. So we also worked with other TCFD initiatives to think about how to use ISO 14090 for adaptation. So we had a comprehensive review. Under the framework, it uses PDCA as the framework for continuous management. But there's a lot of important details, such as risk differentiation and the dimensions involved, as well as criteria setting. And if an adaptation project is to be implemented, what are the aspects that need to be addressed in order to ensure a useful and effective approach? So through scenario analysis, we did further simulations, which is why we had a drought BCP. For the BCP of flood, we looked at the river map or flood map, and then we came up with the risk analysis. And then we looked at the management of people and how to communicate with stakeholders. Our goal is to come up with the best judgment and to reduce loss and to mitigate what will happen in the future and future losses. For example, impact on people, on traffic, and on the actual buildings or physical buildings. And also production lines of our operation and inventory. How do we place those in order for us to minimize the risk and to be the most resilient? It is what is being considered in the BCP. So besides for the operational sites of Delta, for the business end, we also looked at the market to come up with corresponding designs. This case study is very similar to what Franz Anton mentioned about how a city is changing. For example, we may change our expectation on transportation or how we move in the city. with the availability of EVs, we know that charging poles will be required. So in the city, for the charging poles combined with solar panels and energy storage facility, we can use the interaction between the three to combine with the power grid to make this infrastructure into something that can address emergency. So during the daytime, the solar system is filled up, and at night, after everybody goes home, and then they charge, and then the grid, the power goes back to the charging facility for the vehicles to charge using renewable energy or green energy. And power is taken into consideration, tariff is taken into consideration, so that all the charging vehicles will be able to get sufficient power, and the users can choose a affordable approach. Some vendors may say, oh, I want to combine the charging facility with payment. So besides energy, there might be a variety of management approaches combined with operational approaches and incentives. Something new or a new culture can be generated along the way. So I very much look forward to this development for mankind and how to transform and become a sustainable city. I look forward to Delta's role in the process. And recently, you might have seen this on the media. Besides for energy storage, there's also investment on hydrogen, which is another commitment of Delta on renewable energy. So it has a lower pollution, and it's a very good contribution to address climate change. So following our commitment to energy saving, and from 2010 to 2023, we have accumulated 45.5 billion kilowatts. Besides mitigation, in terms of adaptation, this is also critical. We look forward to the play out of the new world. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mona, for your sharing of your company's achievements, a lot of achievements. And we know Delta is actually is a model company for electronics enterprises in Taiwan and in the world. Now it's all four presentation has been presented, and so now it's time for the panel discussion. We have around 20 minutes for panel discussion, and all of us can ask questions to each other to clarify or to make points more clear. Yeah, anyone like to ask to start this to present a panel discussion first? Okay, anyone? Or okay, yeah, okay. Okay, maybe I ask my.
Excuse me, can I ask Alice a question just to set the scene? What would be your biggest wish for the new European Commission that's being installed soon when it comes to this issue?
You are asking us.
I'm asking Alice.
Alice.
Okay, sorry. I didn't listen. Yeah.
So what would you wish that the new European Commission would do, and what kind of rules or what rules would they need to skip to make this all happen? The things that we have been promoting over the last hour.
Yeah. Well, I think that first of all, just to let you know that ICLEI Europe, we work in different European Commission initiatives, and we are very proud of being part of that. I think that the current European Commission, the new one, it's a continuation of the previous one, and we are very happy that the European Green Deal has been again ratified and put as one of the most important policy pieces that we have in Europe. So I think that having that continuity help us to continue advancing in the journey of sustainability on the local level. One thing that we foresee as a positive thing on this term is that now there is going to be much more incentives to the integration of the green and digital world together. There's this concept of the twin transition in Europe, joining both the digital and the sustainability agendas, and this will of course impact directly how cities work. So in that sense, we expect of course much more funding for innovation projects, much more funding to help cities implement the actions defined in their carbon neutrality goals. You mentioned Amsterdam has a carbon neutrality goal. We have there's the European Climate Neutral Cities Mission, where 112 cities have committed to carbon neutrality by 2030. So in order to achieve those goals, technology and ICT technologies plays an important role, and the Commission is supporting this journey, and we hope that there will be funding and clear rules to develop technologies on a local level. But we are positive, and of course, always environment has been in the top of the agenda. So in that sense, cities require also this backup to do the things, because sometimes some things are centralized from the member states, but cities need the leeway to continue advancing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, follow-up questions? No?
So maybe I can have a short comment as well. The European Commission has is currently opening up also to international. So although research is always like European centric, we see that data sharing happens all over the world, and we see that insight currently being embraced from the European Commission. So IDSA, we are in the center of the Data Spaces Support Center, working on behalf of the European Commission, and we are currently starting a lot of cross-border trials between Europe and other economic areas. So, for example, with Japan, there's a strong collaboration. And recently, I was meeting the Taiwanese Minister for Environmental Affairs. Hopefully we can also set up something with Taiwan. We also know that Japan and Taiwan are very active on data sharing and data spaces. And I think we've got all the input on what needs to be done. So not only on smart cities, but smart cities is definitely important. Scope 3 carbon emission tracking along global supply chains. So there are a lot of data spaces, a lot of projects, a lot of solutions already in place. And I would here call for a really international collaboration on like joining the project that we already have, and maybe setting up new projects to come up with something new.
I would like to also answer a question from our perspective. Even though we are located in Taiwan, headquartered in Taiwan, but we have branches all over the world, especially in Europe. So we're also looking forward that the European Commission, how you really implement Green Deal and how that links to a circular economy and adaptation. This would inspire us and also help us to also understand in different kind of culture how you work together, and what's the mindset, especially when it comes to nature and it comes to society, how does it link to each other? By the way, we are also hoping that like you got some Horizon project, Horizon 2020, these kind of project that you could collaborate with different people from different culture or sectors. This would be a good way that could inspire technology companies like us to contribute to the digital twins. Thank you.
What do you think, Franz? Franz Anton.
So who was asking me a question?
Yes, the same question you asked to us. What do you expect from the next, from this new commission?
I'm more or less following your opinion, and I hope they will continue when it also comes to the Digital Services Act, and I hope we can have more agreement on protecting the end users, and that not the lobby of the huge big tech companies will actually take over all the policy that's being made. But I trust with the new European Commission that they will be able to put policies in place and even sharpen policies that will benefit the citizens. That's what I'm really hoping for. I see a question in the chat that can speakers share the experience on how AI or novel technologies can help to develop adaptation strategies to protect outdoor workers from exposures to heat waves. And I can only elaborate on that one from the other way around, is that how we use AI and novel technologies to inform outdoor workers when it comes to rain and flooding. But I'm sure it can be applied to heat waves as well. So we make forecasts, but also with sensors. And based on AI and novel technologies, we can predict how heavy a certain rain issue will be. And so to give you a very simple example, we've put sensors on top of the traffic lights for cyclists, and when it rains, cyclists will have priority over cars when it comes to traffic regulations in the Netherlands. And also with regards to tunnels, when there's a lot of flooding, we can predict if tunnels needs to be closed, yes or no. And I think if you use the AI and novel technologies we use to inform people about rain and storms and winds, I think you can apply them also when it comes to heat waves.
Yeah, thank you, friends, for your response to this question from the participants, online participants. There's another question for you. You maybe you have noticed that it is about.
But I think Alice would like to elaborate on the things I just said.
Okay,
so
yeah, please, Alice.
Yes, thank you very much. Just also answering the question from the representative from the National Taiwan University. So currently cities do not have AI models to track heat waves. There are very few cities that are starting this, but they are doing advanced analytics for modeling the heat waves on a local level. So this is not applied only for the workers, but especially for elderly people, for example. That is most common here in Europe. So there are I have not seen during the work that we have had with ICLEI a specific measure or AI models to define the risk for workers. No, we have heard during the heat waves here in Europe that there were several cases of workers working in the construction sector and also the cleaning the street sectors in some countries in Europe. cities in Europe, and they face some heat wave shocks. And this forced and moved the cities to develop some monitoring tools to track heat waves and create early warning systems. So when the heat is going to be more than certain degrees, it is forbidden, or it is asked the service companies not to bring the workers to the street during the heat wave. So that is the perception, and especially saying also, as I said before, vulnerable communities like elderly people, children, not to go out during the heat waves period. This is something that is now more common, but specifically for workers, still I think that is something that cities need to work on.
And if I may interrupt again, sorry that I'll take the stage that much, but we've developed a lot of digital twins when it comes to predict rainfall, flooding, but also heat waves. And I think Lars mentioned digital twins extensively in his presentation. So he's probably the expert when it comes to this issue with forecasting heat waves and flooding.
Okay, thank you. You too's response to Professor Wu from National Taiwan University. And Mr. Nagao, you may notice that there's a question for you. Do you see it?
No, I don't see it.
No?
But
okay.
Is it addressed to me or addressed to one of the other panelists?
Yeah, that's Miss Lars. Yeah, there's a question.
I've seen the question. I've already typed a first answer. How can citizens contribute and also maybe first benefit? It's probably first being part of the projects that are currently being conducted. So the data spaces that are built. So we have a lot of Green Deal-oriented, climate-oriented, sustainability-oriented endeavors, but also a lot of smart city data spaces and others. So, for example, media or cultural heritage. So this is all, and definitely health. So I know a lot of plenty of projects where this is an important topic. At the end, the citizen, the individual, is the most important element. So we build data spaces for certain purpose, right? Therefore, we need to know the requirements or the actual request. Therefore, this is the ultimate goal. So please make yourself familiar with all the data spaces. Maybe you can have a look at the data space radar that I was just sharing in the chat. When you're interested in contributing to one of the projects or to some fundamental questions, so how to deal with personal data, also which role data intermediaries can play to take care of people's data that maybe are in a certain imbalanced situation compared to bigger companies or bigger organizations. That is exactly what we want to do and what we are targeting with the data sovereignty aspect that we are addressing. So maybe this is a sufficient answer for the moment.
Thank you. For all your discussion and the response to the questions. And maybe I have a chance to ask one question for all of you. Okay, I'm an economist. I'm not an AI or digital technology experts. But as an economist, we like to think or evaluate the new technology in terms of benefits and costs. I have just heard that our government's the prediction of our electricity demand, the growth of our electricity demand, they raised the Ministry of Economic Affairs raised this growth rate from 2% to 3% in the next 10 or 20 years, simply because of AI. That means AI will require a lot of electricity to run, to make it happen. And so it will make the emission reduction from fossil fuel will be much more difficult, become a much more difficult job to be done. So how do we deal with this problem? We like to, on the one hand, we like to use AI. It will provide a lot of benefits, but on the other hand, it's also costs a lot. Yeah, okay. Maybe we start from Lars.
Yeah, so a great question. Thank you very much. And definitely the big question at hand currently. So, well, we should, as a society, but well, especially as companies and organizations, not do AI just for its own purpose. We should really use AI for clear targets, and that is what we currently do see. There can be a lot of benefit leveraged by the use of AI. So I could share some examples on carbon footprint tracking. So we talked about COP3. Global supply chains are incredibly inefficient today and intransparent. The problem is that we do not really know what is happening, not on a detailed level. So we know that, but organizations and especially big supplier networks are still intransparent. AI can help a lot in improving on that end. This is just an example. And therefore, I think we need to see like the costs that occur with AI. We need to find a balance with the benefits that will be created, and that needs to be massive. But, and you are an economist, so this is a true transformation of our economy. So we're always talking about the data economy. Okay, what does that mean? So data are an economic asset. Data is shared, and we need to share much more data. Well, that is why, for example, we are doing data spaces, and then we can use AI for much more domains than today and scenarios. So today, AI is still used in a very limited manner, and also in a low quality level. So current large language models are mostly trained on like a year-old data that can be found on the internet. If we were able to improve the quality massively by making much more data available, AI can have much more benefits. That is the change in the next decade, I would say. And it calls for investments at the moment. So therefore, from an economist perspective, currently we are still in the investment phase, but we are doing that for a very important purpose, which is what we call the data economy. And currently we are still not there yet. So maybe as an initial statement, please back to the others.
Yeah, thank you, Lars, for your sharing of your points. And we have only 2 minutes left, or 1 minute left. And friends, do you like to share your thoughts about this question, the benefit and cost of a new technology?
Yeah, what we see in the Netherlands is that there's a lot of decentralized generated power, and we use AI to balance the grid a lot. So we basically we use AI that costs a lot of energy, but also to balance the grid much more. So when there's two buildings next to each other and one is generating a lot of energy and the other one uses a lot of energy, that it's not going via the central grid, but that it's directly distributed via the grid. So that's my, in a nutshell, what we are trying to do in the Netherlands.
Thank you for your sharing your experiences. Alice?
I will be very brief. From the city perspective, I think that cities need to work together with the business and the companies running the data centers or the AI models in order to assess the real impacts of the use of this technology. Of course, for this, they have to do a specific case study, use cases, in order to assess the benefits from a complete picture. No, we have to assess, of course, positive impacts of AI that we really think that much more than the negative effects. But I think that this has to be a work together with the business. We heard before from our colleague from Delta that they are working already on efficient data centers, very good technology. So I think that there's a need to work together with the private sector to understand and assess correctly the environmental impacts of AI technology use.
Thank you. Mona?
I'd like to briefly provide some feedback. I think it's why energy management is so important and energy saving comes into places. Even though the absolute amount will increase for electricity consumption, but I believe the intensity might decrease if we use thermal management and electricity management much better. So we got one example that we use the building information modeling and combined with the local like temperature and spatial data together, combine them together to do some modeling and calculation. And it helps us to decide when should we turn on the chiller and under which capacity, so we can provide sufficient cooling air for the whole building. So I think that's AI is it can be applied in different fields. So even though it's a electricity monster, but it should have some benefit in providing the benefits.
Thank you all. Your response to my concern. So maybe it's time to close this forum. And thank you all of you. Thank four of you for your participation and a very useful and important discussion. Where I believe this discussion should be helpful for our future and in the climate change mitigation and adaptation issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
For that great discussion.
Bye-bye. Thank you.